Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo, and welcome back to the channel. Make sure you're hitting that like, comment, and subscribe button, and most importantly, turn on those notifications. That way you guys get notified when we drop hits like this. This week on the podcast, Joel and I are talking about the Jimmy Butler trade. Finally, it went down. We're also showing some love to the big game, the Florida Panthers kicking ass, and some exciting fights coming up. It's time to take a ride, y'all. Let's go. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. What's up, my boy? How you living, Joel? It's good to see you.
It's been a while, my boy. It's been a while.
It's been a while, dog.
Only fans was keeping us afloat and the season ended. And
I hate those guys.
We're not here to talk about them today.
Thanks. I appreciate
Luckily,
that.
But we got a lot of catching up to do.
We do. And if you guys haven't already, like we said in the intro, make sure you guys are hitting that like, comment, and subscribe button. We're pretty sure you're already subscribed, but you got to tell a friend. And make sure you drop a comment because this episode right here is going to be full of heat.
Yeah, we want to know how you guys feel. I mean, see if our thoughts are resonating with you guys and how you guys are feeling, or if we're just completely out of left field and maybe we're not even, got our finger on the pulse. So let us know what you guys think.
Yeah,
Follow along.
Yeah, man. All right, let's jump right into it, right?
Let's address the elephant in the room.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Jimmy Butler, if you've been hiding under a rock in the past 24 hours, finally got traded, not to Phoenix like he wanted, not to Phoenix like people were anticipating or trying to make happen, but to Golden State, a team that he didn't initially want to go to, a team he initially said he wasn't going to sign an extension, and then lo and behold, deal gets done and he does both.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that to me shows me that Jimmy was trying to play this head-on game, of chicken with Pat, both going 100 miles per hour, and Jimmy buckles first. Because at the end of the day, the Heat held more power in the long run. Yeah, you held the power in the short run as far as who we can trade you to, what type of deal can we get back, But in the long run, the Heat would have been okay with A, suspending you for the rest of the season, right? No doubt, eating that contract, no problem. B, if you would have opted in, same shit, right? Now we know you're locked in at a certain price and we can trade you, right? It gives us more flexibility in the offseason. And even if you opted out, cool, we're getting money off the books, and now we got even more cap space into their destined, goal of 2026. I'm not saying that he were in a win-win position, because obviously this was a win-lose situation on both sides, right? On Jimmy's side and on Pat Riley's side. But at the end of the day, the franchise is going to do what's best for the franchise. And we've never been a franchise that folds under pressure and, more importantly, makes the worst deal just to make the worst deal and get rid of an issue. That's not our style, So I don't know if there's a clear-cut winner, because you can find victories on both sides, right? Jimmy finally gets out of Miami. He gets his extension, gets a pay raise. Now he's on a team that he wanted to be on, right? He's going to get his joy back. But on the other side, the way he looked, the type of, controversy he created, how he's looked among his peers, right? Even in his new locker room, based off all the things he said and how he was acting throughout the whole process, there's wins and losses there, dog.
I don't know. I think he won. I think he got what he wanted. You know what I mean? He's taken a vacation the last few months. Granted, he's lost out on some money, but he just made that up. $60 million a year for the next 2 years.
With those state taxes, though.
Yeah, he's in California. He's gonna deal with that. But you got more money, so it's like, all right, you call it a wash. He makes the same amount as he would have made here when you take the taxes into account. But frankly, he's on a better team. Let's be honest. Let's be brutally honest.
Hold on.
Let me say what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
He's got a generational talent in Steph Curry, who's been to the big show already, who's won multiple times, who has an amazing legacy, who's trying to get one last one there, you know what I mean? And yeah, I know they've lost pieces. Now they lose Wiggins. We pick up Wiggins, which we'll get to in a second, how we feel about that acquisition in this trade. But, I think that he goes to a team with a good coach in Kerr, good history there, good fan base in the Bay, and he's with Steph Curry now. So It's like, Jimmy won. As far as he's concerned, he came out winning because he wasn't happy here. So anywhere was going to be better than here. And then, frankly, for us, I think we kind of, lost the trade. I don't think we won necessarily. The only thing that we won was that we got rid of Jimmy Butler, and we got, it was an end to the Jimmy saga. So now it's like, all right, now we can start to focus on the good things that he's doing with, Bam and Hero and Ware, you know what I mean? All, things that we haven't really been talking about or discussing recently, because all we have been talking about was, is Jimmy leaving? Where's Jimmy gonna go? This is a pissing contest now between Pat Riley and between Jimmy. Are we going to get KD, getting our KD hopes up yet again?
Yeah,
and
but
it's
we
like,
both knew in our hearts of hearts that deal wasn't going to be on the table.
I knew that wasn't going to happen, but just based off the last few years of what hasn't happened for us, I'm going to say what has happened, what hasn't happened, all the speculation of trades that were supposedly locked in and didn't happen.
Yeah.
So it's like, we didn't get the splash superstar. We lost the guy that has really held it down for us for the last 5 years, who, is arguably a top 3 Heat player when you look at just statistics. He has some of the best numbers after LeBron and Wade. And, what did we really get in return for that? Is that put us in contention right away for this season? Or is this season just yet another wash for the Heat?
I don't think so, and here's why, right? And this is why I don't think it's a clear victory for Jimmy. Yeah, you got out of Dodge, no problem. That was your whole spiel. You got out of Dodge, no problem. But you're landing on a team that's in 10th place right now, struggling with that generational talent that you mentioned, with that same Hall of Fame to be head coach in Steve Kerr. Those guys are struggling right now, and that's with having those guys. So to think that, especially to have an ego like Jimmy does, to go in there and say, well, I'm going to be the one to make this change. Nah, bro, you're gonna go in there to play a role. Now you went from being the man everywhere you wanted to be at to now you're just a role player, because you're definitely not gonna come ahead of Steph, and you're definitely not gonna come ahead of Draymond. And Steve Kerr is always gonna put the team first before he even considers your ego, right? So again, if it was the team that was top 4 in the West, killing it, won 17 out of the last 22 games type shit, then I would be like, all right, yeah, Jimmy just fucking got himself closer to an NBA championship, right? Which is, I guess, ultimately his goal. But he's not there. That's not that team, Even if he would have gone to Phoenix, that's another team that's really struggling this season and trying to battle to get into the play-in, which is where we found ourselves in the last 2 years as Heat fans, right? So if you look at it from that point of view, no doubt, the only way that you can say that Jimmy really won is A, he left, and B, he got the money that he wanted, right? But you also got to take into account the things that he didn't get. He didn't get to go to the team that he wanted. He didn't get to leave the way that he wanted, and he definitely didn't get to handle the situation as best as he could have. So that's why I say there's both losses and wins on each side.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Because you're right. The Heat didn't hit a grand slam on this trade, right? As far as the talent they got back. But at the end of the day, when you look at the makeup of this team, how it's currently constructed, with the young players that are finding their rhythms, learning how to take on teams, learning how to win games ugly, learning how to win games on the road, right? This is a team that you're like, all right, what can I add to this team to make it even better? Because it's not going to be championship worthy right now, but if I'm looking ahead for next year and the season after that, this team has a lot of promise, right? And back to my point with Jimmy, which a lot of people will argue and correctly argue that Jimmy type of player would have been perfect, a veteran who can defend, so get to the bucket, that type of shit would have been a great piece. But at the end of the day, he didn't want to be here. He knew that there was better talent emerging on the squad. And again, the ego comes into play where it's like, I need this, and I need this. And if you're not getting those things, then you're going to act out. All right, cool, act out. But now you're in a not so guaranteed situation. The only thing guaranteed there is that you got your money. But that doesn't mean that your future is going to end in Golden State. Because if things don't work out for Golden State, and this is where we can get into the trade details, and they find themselves missing the playoffs, the Heat benefit off of that because of the trade, right? So if we look at the trade, the final trade ended up being Wiggins for Jimmy, right? Jimmy being the only player going to Golden State. Wiggins coming here, Kyle Anderson coming here, and then Detroit receiving Lindy Waters III and Josh Richardson, who we sent out. Utah receiving Dennis Schroeder, right, which we were taking on from Golden State, and Toronto receiving PJ Tucker, and the 2022 pick, which then, PJ Tucker came to us first, and then we traded him to Toronto. if you look at Andrew Wiggins type of player, right? Kid is 27, former number 1 pick, obviously a talent, an immense talent, and a guy who's played in big games in that Golden State team and won, and also was finding his way to be a contributing player. This is a guy that fits perfectly with this team, right? The position fits. A small forward wing who can defend, who can shoot, can score, right? You can count on him on both sides of the court. And then you pair it around, right, with the defense abilities that he has and who he'll be playing next to defensively. That just makes the team even better, right? Because with the emergence of Ware and his gamemanship, what he's bringing to the court, to the team right now, it's crazy. It's the center that we've been calling for like the last 5-10 years, and now we got one. And now Bam is playing a more natural position of the 4 and not being dependent on to get big boards all the time. Now you slide in Wiggins at the 3. That's a big ass front court you got there, dog. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I think that the makeup of this team is trending younger. I don't want to say super young, where it's like just full of rookies, but we're definitely younger, and we're building the pieces to have this team gel together while we have them on these favorable contracts. As far as NBA standards go, like, yeah, you gotta look for the now and the future. And if it means that the Heat end in 5th, 6th, 7th place with this team, that's almost the same shit that we've gotten last year and the year before.
I hear what you're saying about Wiggins, and that is probably the best thing that we got out of it besides the pick. I think we got a conditional first-round pick.
Yeah.
Or something like that, but I'll let you handle those details. But what you just said there, man, like it's 5th or 6th, seed. I don't see it happening. Frankly, I don't see it.
We're in the 6th right now.
I know, but I don't see us contending, is my point. Okay. I don't see that. I see us still not having enough to contend with the Bostons and the OKCs of the world.
Fair. But, that is fair. But we also have to look at how or why those two teams are successful. Jason Tatum got there as a kid. Now he's playing ball like a man, right? And the team is benefiting out of that. The young guy, Jaylen Brown, that they had there, he's matured into an even excellent basketball player. Like, that team got built up to get to the level that it was. You know what I'm saying? The Heat are on that way right now. Because if you look at the emergence of Tyler Hero, and side note, this was a guy that got burned in public on media day by Pat Riley for saying he needs to be better, he needs to fix his game, he needs to do a lot more to be where he wants to be considered. And that's when Hero was talking about being considered like Trae Young, Stephen Curry, and trying to be on that level of player. And this year he's doing it. He's killing it. He
got his first All-Star nod.
You know what I mean?
Was he pulled as a reserve?
As a reserve.
That's how I understood it. Yeah, he wasn't like a first pick, but like you're a backup for the game.
He got picked by the coach. You know what I mean? The coach could have picked any of those guys, and he said, "Nah, I want Tyler Hero." So again, that says a lot about how Hero season is going and what he's contributing to this team. A legit scorer, big-time shooter, clutch performer.
And I don't want to derail our conversation that we want to talk about, but again, my whole thing with Tyler Hero, I know you can perform, dog. I know you can put up buckets in the regular season. I've seen it since your rookie year. We've seen it. We get it. My thing with Tyler Hero, my trust level of Tyler Hero will not go any further until he can do that and translate it in the playoffs.
I got you.
Frankly, I think that's what I need to see. And I need to see it from Bam too.
It's fair.
And now this is a great test for it because we don't have Jimmy, so we don't have that guy.
Yeah.
So, I'm waiting to see what cream rises to the top now in this team. Is it going to be Hero? Is it going to be Wiggins? Is it going to be Ware?
Imagine, but like if there's one dude that would come in with the right attitude, it probably is Wiggins, because he's like, I know what it takes to win, guys. I just got the playbook from these dudes. You guys seem to be on the right path. I got a coach who's even better now. Like, we're gonna find a way to be good and competitive this year. And again, this is with a team that's young, relying on young players to play more and to play well. Pelle Larsson's playing well. Jovic playing well. Who's the other kid? Khalil Ware playing well. And these are guys, Jaquez playing well. And these are guys who are in the rotation, getting minutes, big minutes, to learn how to gel together. And you add that with the veteran-ish leadership of Bam and Tyler Hero, the guys who've been here for a good amount of time. Yeah, this team can be put together, And if you think about the assets that we could add to this team, we still have cap space in 2026, right? We didn't get completely under the first tax apron, but we're far from the second, level of being in the tax. So that bodes well, and we can probably even find ways in the offseason to cut, some type of salary to get under that and still have cap space for 2026. Getting that pick that we got, which could be potentially an unprotected pick, can range anywhere from 11 to 18, right? Depending on where Golden State finishes the season, whether or not they make the playoffs, which again, we talked about earlier, it's up in the air because they're currently in the play-in. But yeah, getting that first round pick is amazing because it's one of those things that you and I talked about. We have another asset that we can either utilize, right, in that range, or use it to get something else in return. Where we didn't have assets before, where we're trying to go after these quote-unquote whales, right? Not having the assets was always kicking us in the ass. Now we're starting to gain some of these assets, right? Where we have expiring contracts, we have multiple picks now that we can ship off. So the Heat are going to be in position to make moves.
Sure.
And getting that pick is crucial. Another big thing, getting Mitchell in that deal, his salary's only at 6.5. I read today that saves another $20 million in cap space. That's crazy. Again, staying available for the big potential free agent that comes in 2026. Another thing, we saved another $11 million by trading Schroeder. And he got traded again right after that from Utah. It's just the way that the NBA is operating now, right? To be like, if I'm not close to winning a championship, I got to figure out a way to get out of this tax. Those things combined, and which is what I was saying earlier, can make it seem like a dub for the Heat. Maybe not a dub this week, maybe not a dub this month, but if we do make the playoffs with an extremely young team as a 4th, 5th, 6th seed, that shows a lot of progress, a lot of promise for next year. What type of pieces can we add to that, right? And it gives new life to the season. One thing's for certain, if you've been watching Heat basketball lately, you've seen this Heat team galvanize. When this whole situation about getting suspended indefinitely, like 10 days ago, 11 days ago, whenever it was, like, you could tell that shit was catching up to the team. And they hated dealing with that shit in the media. Mm-hmm. They hated dealing with that shit after games, especially as they're winning games.
Yeah, it's the number one key takeaway of this all as far as a win for the Heat is they got rid of the distraction.
Yeah.
Now they don't have to worry about that. Now it's, all right, now let's figure out how Wiggins and the other two guys we got Kyle Anderson now on our team?
Yeah, but let me hit you with some stats.
Hit me with some stats, dog. Talk to me. I want to hear some numbers.
Right? For Hamilton, he's right now the number 8th defensive player in the NBA. Guess who's Mitchell's number 4, Wiggins is number 8. As far as top 10 perimeter defense players this year. So now to a team that's young, defensive, right? You just added 2 more players, necessarily pretty cheap, that can defend and fits right into that culture that we have of being a defense first team. Man, I feel that makes us be even more competitive against these teams. If you look at Milwaukee, they're struggling. Philadelphia, we just beat them. Like, none of these teams in the East, except for New York and Boston, are really looking like a contender. The Heat, if they catch fire and they start to gel even more together, there's a potential that they can end in the top 4, which will be wild for this team. To start from where we started, going through what we went through, making the trade, and then ending up as a top 4 team in the East. Sure. Yeah, that would be a crazy season. Still got a long way to go, but I just think that the pieces that Pat was able to put together and income is going to bode well for this team, bro, in the long run. I'm sure of it. We're back. Had to take a little quick break. But just to give you guys our final thoughts on the Heat, Joel, if you want, you can go first, dog.
I think I've kind of already touched on it a little bit, but, the distraction is gone. I think you put it best. This is the start of something new midway through the season, kind of a renaissance for this Heat team.
Yeah.
I think that Jimmy was a big part of this team and the identity of this team and who we are. So I think we got to figure out our new identity.
Yeah.
Am I excited about this Heat team? Not yet.
Okay.
I'm not yet excited about it. I have my reservations to it, I can get into, but I won't. I'll save that for another episode. But the best thing that's happened that came out of all of this is the distraction is now gone, and now we can get back to work.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I think it's like, besides the obvious and the distraction being gone and letting the team be a team again, I think the right now, right, is going to be exciting, but it's going to come with bumps and bruises, right? Because, like I said, these guys are going to have to learn how to play together, learn how to win together, learn how to lose together, and figure out what is what, right? But if you talk about the future holds a lot of possibilities. We still have cap space. We're still targeting big players, and we're building up the talent that we've drafted. Hero, Bam, Jaquez, Ware, Jovic. We're building these guys up. So, if all goes well, this team will be even more exciting next year than what it is currently. But that's enough about that. Finally, Jimmy Butler shit is over. Let's move on to the big game.
Oh, well, I hate this, bro. The Super Bowl. All right, we're not big enough anyways. We're not going to get flagged. We're not monetized. It's the fucking Super Bowl. Can we cut it out with this big game bullshit?
Yeah, it's so stupid.
What are we doing, man? I hate every time I hear that in any advertisement, like on sports, like on DraftKings or whatever. It's like, it's the fucking Super Bowl, guys. Like, what are we talking about?
Don't promote it as a Super Bowl if you don't want to call people to call it the Super Bowl. Like,
it's bittersweet, man. It's one of the better Sundays of the year.
Yeah.
But it also marks the end of the football season officially. We gotta wait. That dreaded time, the dog days of summer, where we gotta wait all the way till August,
especially with
for
this
football
team.
again.
Jesus.
So I'm excited for it, but at the same time too, like both these teams are like, I think the consensus in America, unless you live in those two areas, is you're kind of over this.
Yeah. We've seen this before.
Overseeing Kansas City, in the Super Bowl, and then you're kind of like just no respect for the Eagles because their fan base kind of sucks.
Yeah, and they've already taken an L to these same Chiefs.
We've already seen this one time.
We've seen this.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I just hope it's a good game. I hope it's really, like one of those games where, like, damn, that was a great Super Bowl.
Something entertaining, dog, at least, right? Like, let's get some touchdowns on the board, right? Let's make the game exciting towards the end. Because if we're being honest, I'm pretty sure the majority of the nation wants to see the Chiefs lose, right? And that also means that they don't want to necessarily see the Eagles win.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You know
I don't
what I
think
mean?
that they want to see. I guess so. I guess the majority of people want this to be a tie. And like just kind of like, all right, you know what? Nobody wins this.
We're gonna split that.
We're just gonna split the trophy. None of you guys win it, really.
Yeah, but there is exciting elements to the game, right? Like Jalen Hurts, he's looking healthy. Obviously, Philadelphia has found a way to make him even more of a threat by limiting the amount of passes that he throws, giving him better passes to throw offensively as far as play calling. You got Saquon Barkley, who's been arguably the MVP of the season, a guy who got traded from a Giants team, a lot to prove, got a contract, and has done nothing but been amazing week to week to week to week for this Eagles team. And on the other side, of course, you got the juggernauts, right? You got, Reed, Mahomes, and Kelsey going for history, trying to go a three-peat. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Pat Riley.
Got the trademark.
Trying to do a three-peat in the NFL, unprecedented, never happened before. So if that shit does come about on Sunday, like we're watching history, as much as we would hate it.
I think the person, I think it's not a team that I'm rooting for this Sunday. I'm just rooting for one person, and it's Saquon Barkley. You know what I mean? I'm not a Giants guy. I've never been a Giants guy, but I love hardworking, talented individuals. People that have talent and don't work hard. It's like it's kind of a waste.
The right way.
That guy has all the talent in the world, but on top of that, bro, he works hard.
Yeah.
And we've been seeing it since he was in college. You know what I mean? And we've seen him when he first got into league, the impact he made on a horrible team. And, to see that they kind of wrote him off and, like, we don't want to pay this guy, and this and that. And to see the season that he's had, that's why you watch football. You know what I mean? There's those kinds of moments, those redeeming seasons, for these guys. So the cherry on top would be him being able to be, Super Bowl champion and more than likely MVP. The Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
Because I think that the road to the Super Bowl really does run through Saquon for the Eagles.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the defensive line for the Chiefs, having Jones there in the middle, they've been playing amazing. And, Saquon knows that he has a tough task at hand here. But if he can overcome that, God damn, is he giving, the Eagles team a hell of a chance to win this game and be Super Bowl champs and get some revenge, right? From losing that first round to Mahomes and them. But on the other side, you got Mahomes, dude is locked in, has continued to be performing at the biggest stages when the team needs them, and like making plays and figuring out how to be a champion. And he has that DNA, bro, that you're like, dog, you hate to love him, but damn it, he's so damn good, you know, and he gets away with a lot of shit because he's so damn good.
He is, though. He really is, bro. And they're just a really good team, bro.
Yeah,
granted, I know that they haven't put up a ton of points, and I know the whole, the refs are on their side. I've argued that as well. I've seen a lot of their games, and it's like, they kind of, they got a couple calls go their way or whatever. But frankly, at the end of the day, the last game that we saw them play, was probably the team that a lot of people,
expected,
even some Dolphins fans wanted to win. Not expected, but wanted to win in the Bills because, again, they're a team that hasn't really been there. They've had their issues and stuff like that and in the postseason or whatever. And then, sure enough, they had a chance. They had a chance to go out there and beat the Kansas City Chiefs and save us from, a Super Bowl where we don't want either side to win. And frankly, they couldn't get it done. The Chiefs were the better team and are the better team, have been the better team. And, I think that, they're there for a reason, man. They have a really good glue. More so than anything, I know they got Mahomes, Kelsey, the whole 9 yards and the mastermind that is Andy Reid. Their defensive coordinator, the schemes that they throw, the fake blitzes on one side, and then they pull those guys back into coverage, and then you're getting the blitz from a side you weren't even thinking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's crazy shit that they got scheming over there. I don't know. I can't remember the defensive coordinator's name off the top of my head, but shout out to him because he's really been a big part of that Chiefs team this season.
Yeah, and it's part of the success that they've been able to sustain.
Yeah.
Right? And in the NFL, that's really hard to do. In the NBA, you could put a core of like 3 to 4 players together and, build around them consistently year after year after year. But in the NFL roster, you have so many changes, positions, veterans, people getting cut, people getting added, injuries. Like, it takes a lot. And for the Chiefs to be favored yet again in another Super Bowl is wild, Granted, not
it's a 1 point, right? 1 point spread.
Right, but that's just the idea is like Vegas is saying these guys are gonna win, right? And they're gonna win by this type of margin, So if the line is there, then it makes things interesting. But interesting enough, I was looking at it today, and some sites had the money line being Eagles or being even, which is crazy. But it just shows you how close these two teams are. Right, but the edge, you have to give it to the back-to-back Super Bowl champs who are returning even better than they were last year, in my opinion, right? Because now they got better wide receivers than what they had last year. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those games where people look for Kansas City to be the winners at the end of the day.
Over under for the game about 48.5 points on most books.
For sure, over, dog.
You're thinking the over on this for sure?
Philadelphia's gonna score. That's one thing that we know for sure. If you can limit how many times you make Jalen Hurts throw it, right? And you give him those good routes to find his receivers that can break away just like any other top receiver, right? It gives you a hell of a chance. And you know that they're going to be paying so much attention to Barkley that it frees up some of those opportunities to hit guys in stride and have them take something to the house. So I don't see Philadelphia getting shut down like that completely on offense. They're going to be able to put points on the board. The Chiefs have shown some type of weaknesses at times, right? And have given up bad touchdowns. And, of course, they've been able to lock in when it matters. But I expect this Super Bowl to be pretty high scoring.
Who do you think is the better team?
On paper, right? On paper, you kind of have to give it even. But one thing that paper doesn't account for is experience, And, bro, these dudes have been together for 4 to 5 years. Mahomes has made an AFC championship every time since he started. I don't know, man. That accounts for something, right? Sustaining success in the NFL is hard, and that kid and around those players with that coach have been able to do it. So in my mind, I think the better team, right? Not just on numbers, better team is definitely the Chiefs.
Is that who you're picking? Is that who your pick is for this Sunday?
We'll save it for a little bit. But that's why I think they're getting favored. Who do you think is the better team?
I think the Chiefs are the better team. I think that they got, like you said, the experience. It really is a really big factor in this. Being in that environment, being under the big lights. It's definitely something that the nerves get to you, and if you don't settle in, and now you're playing from behind, we've seen Mahomes play ahead and play behind,
doesn't phase
bro. I stopped doubting Mahomes, bro. It kind of like remember Brady. You know what I mean? It was like we all got to the point where it was like, all right, Tom Brady's gonna get it done. You got to stop. Everybody collectively was just like, all right, bro. Stop hating on the guy. He's gonna get it done. He's that dude. Mahomes got there to me, I don't know if it was last year or the year before that when he got hurt in the playoffs, rolled his ankle pretty bad. I think it might have been against the Bills or something like that, and still went on to the Super Bowl to have a phenomenal performance and win. And after that, I said, all right, this guy's built different. Because I thought there was no way in hell he was going to be a contributor in the Super Bowl, and he led that team to another championship.
For sure. And I think the reason why the money line is even or plus for the Eagles or favorite to the Eagles is because they are the hotter team coming into the playoffs, right? They've put up really good performances. Defense has looked great every single game that they played. Offense has looked great every single game that they played. And even in that NFC Championship, people thought it was going to be a lot closer. And these guys just made Jaden Daniels look like a rookie again. And they were willing and able to run at will against a good Washington defense or a decent Washington defense, right? So, yeah, I think the Eagles are clicking on all cylinders, as you have to be, in order to upset a team like the Chiefs and beat them. But I just think that experience, man, has to give the edge to the Chiefs. So if we're talking about picks for the Super Bowl, I gotta go with the Chiefs, dog. Like you explained, bro. Like, we can't continue to bet against Patrick Mahomes and wait to be surprised, if it happens. I think that the more you put that guy in those type of positions where things are on the line, important things, not only Super Bowl, legacy, being considered one of the best quarterbacks of all time, trying to catch up to Tom Brady as far as Super Bowl wins and passing guys like Montana and fucking all these other type of historic quarterbacks. Like, yeah, dog, this dude seems to show up for those moments. So I think that if it comes down to a game-winning drive, there's no doubt Mahomes is going to get it done, dog, and that's why I got the Chiefs winning.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, man, Again, rooting for Saquon. If they win, then, I mean, I don't got a dog in the fight either way. If it's not the Dolphins, I don't really care.
Right.
But if I'm a betting man, I'm gonna say I got to put it on the Chiefs money line this Sunday.
For sure. And I think that again, the nation is going to be split on that because some people do believe in the hotter team heading into the Super Bowl. It's worked numerous times. But that it factor that the Chiefs carry just make this game a toss-up, and could land any other way. Biggest thing to look forward to there is turnovers. Who blinks first, gives the ball up, in an important time on an important drive. I think that's going to be the catalyst of the game for sure, But let's see. Hopefully the Chiefs lose.
What else we got on the docket?
Bro, we have to show love to my second favorite team in South Florida. That's the Florida Panthers, in case you didn't know that.
Wait, who's your first favorite team?
It's the Heat.
No way.
It's the Heat.
They are not my favorite team.
They're my favorite team, dog.
South Florida.
It's definitely not the Dolphins. I'll tell you that much.
The Dolphins.
Oh, that's why you're delusional.
Dolphins, Panther, Heat right now.
For me, it's Heat, Panthers, and then there's a fine line between third and fourth.
It's like place. Dolphins, Panthers, Heat. And
Canes
then we can go.
I mean, for you to be UCF.
We'll go. We're talking about South Florida.
Okay.
We'll go Canes. We'll go Inter Miami FC.
Right.
We'll go FIU. We'll go Northwestern Bulls.
The Marlins aren't on that list.
No, they're not on that list. That's what I was trying to get at. Thank you for
picking up
on that.
List.
They're not on that list.
Sorry, we don't acknowledge you guys.
This is not about the Marlins.
We don't acknowledge you guys.
No, you're done.
Second favorite team, man, for real, the Panthers, because
no doubt
they've acted like my favorite team, which is the Heat, right? They got a GM in place, owner took over, put people in position to win. Now we're defending Stanley Cup champions and looking just as good as we did last year. Maybe not better, but just as good. And if we're honest and you know a little bit about the Panthers, these past 5-6 seasons, they've been able to sustain success.
Yeah.
Always finishing in the top 3, top 4, getting to the deep rounds of the playoffs, getting to championships, winning. And they've done that consistently.
Yep.
So this is a team that doesn't necessarily have to, quote unquote, show up during the regular season, but they're so damn good and talented that even when they just win regular games and don't look amazing, they're still able to come back and get a lead in the division, still be, in the hunt for second place as far as the entire NHL goes, or conference goes, excuse me, because Washington is definitely have a season for the ages, right? They're on 77 points as of today. Panthers are only like 10 points back, 11 points back. It's a big amount. But there's no doubt.
Yeah, but we've been in that situation before where we're the best team.
And it doesn't work out.
That didn't work out. You never want to be especially in the NHL. You never want to be the top dog. You don't want to be that President's Cup team or whatever the hell. You know,
it has that wicked curse.
You don't want that. You want to be where we are right now. We're good. We're the defending champs, and we're in the mix, baby.
In the hunt.
We're in the mix.
You know, the Panthers got to stay in the hunt, and they've been able to do that obviously because the way that the team was built, the way that it was sustained, the type of positions that were addressed, and the type of players that we signed. You know, a lot of people were worried about the money that we gave Sam Reinhart with the big contract in the offseason.
Worth it.
Completely worth it, dog. This guy's leading the team in goals, has 31 goals, right? Next closest guy is Matthew Tkachuk, who has 19 goals, so he's doubled up pretty much on goals as far as the lead goes. And he's also leading the team in points with 60 points.
Yeah.
Consistent from your star players.
Yeah, no regression this year, playing at the same high level that he played last year.
You know what I mean? And a team that knows when to turn it on, knows how to win games when they're down, knows how to fight for points, knows how to close out victories, knows how to close out close games. Like, this is a team that is molded to the pressure and can come up with more wins than losses in any stretch, right? Right now, they're 4-2 in their last 6 games, and they've won impressive games. But again, just the fact that we're not seeing shit that we saw 4 years ago, right? A losing streak of 6 games, a winning streak of 8 games, a losing streak of 4 games, and then another win. You know, these dudes will lose one, bounce back, and get 2, 3, 4 in a row, and lose another one, win another 2, 3, 4 in a row. And that's the way that the Panthers have been able to stay at the top. You know, stay at the top because they got off to a rocky start in the beginning of the season. But
and we usually do, man. We usually kind of start that off. You know, we kind of have that off-season hangover. You know, until they start grooving and we've been lying. You know, yeah, man, we party hard. You know, those guys live on Fort Lauderdale Beach. You know what I mean? They're having a good time out there on the boardwalk and shit. But, you know, no, man, it takes some time, and then you see it. You know, then we start picking up steam, and we find our identity again. You know, it takes a little bit of time every season kind of to figure that out, like who the hell we are. But then it's like, no, we're a high caliber championship hockey team, and not only can we come out the gates hot, score 2, 3, 4, and make it like you can't come into this game at all.
Right.
But if we go down early.
Yeah.
Now we can play like we got a chip on our shoulder because it's like we're better than you,
Cardiac
and we've seen it. We
baby.
just saw it. We were down early. I forgot to who you posted it. I think on the page.
It was the Oilers.
And we went down early 1-0, and we came back and fired like five goals off.
Games ended up 6-1. Dog.
Like, are you kidding me, dog? Like, so like you know we're a team that is very multifaceted and versatile, young, quick. Hungry still. I think that, you know, like we won that championship, and all it did was open up the floodgates. These guys got a taste, and that's all they want now.
Because they have an identity. You know, this has always been a team that performs at home, been dominant at home, learn how to build winning streak at home, and they're still doing it to this day. 16-9-2 on the season. That's huge. They're staying above 500 on the road, 16-11 if I'm not mistaken.
Beautiful.
You know what I mean? Like, this is a team that's, you know, focused on what the objective is. Let's win more games than what we lose, and let's make those losing streaks as little as possible. 1 or 2 games, and then it's right back to winning for this team. So, yeah, they know how to take advantage of that shit, and that's why they're my second favorite team.
Yeah.
Because I know what I can get from this Panthers team, game in, game out.
Yeah, everything is kind of clicking right now, and you know, not just on the ice, but off the ice. You know, it's a really good product to see. So the fans are completely bought in. You know, and it's not a matter of like, oh, they've been really good. Let's go see the games and support this team, and then you go and it's like, it's not a good product. Like, no, dude. Like, I've yet to hear anybody go to a Panthers game and say, man, that wasn't a good time, or I didn't enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like the fans are really good fans. I don't know if it's where they're playing that it's easier to get in and out of. It's not downtown Miami or Little Havana.
I mean, that might have something to do with it.
Or Miami Gardens or whatever. You know, all those areas are kind of congested and stuff. It's a lot easier to get in and out, so the fans are in their seats when the puck drops.
Yep.
You never really see fans like filling in after the fact. Like, I don't know if it's the formatting, the 3 20-minute periods, but everything is just kind of lining up right now where it's like you got a great product on the ice and you got a great fan base that's supporting the team and is showing up for the team game in and game out.
And they're delivering. They're delivering. Conference championships, division titles, and now they delivered on the Stanley Cup that everybody was waiting for. So
great time to be a Panthers fan.
I know it.
Yeah, I mean, we're not new to this. It's not we just started covering them when they won the championship.
Yeah, for sure.
We've been on this train since we started this podcast, 4 years ago.
Don't doubt it. Don't doubt it.
It's been nice for us. We always talk about it. It's been nice for us, and I can't imagine those lifelong Panthers fans that have been fans since the 90s when the franchise was created and everything that they've kind of gone through and grown and changed and all that to see like where they are now. Yeah. We just came in at the, kind of the tail end of all that where the change had already commenced. And
we got to see the foundation, and then like the first
very cool.
2 floors went up.
Yeah, and we've seen guys, come and go and stuff, but like now we got a really good nucleus, and I don't know if anybody in the hockey world has thrown this out, but this team is really looking like it has the potential to be a dynasty.
Yeah, for sure, and I think the NHL has recognized that in the fact that they gave them a Winter Classic game next year.
That's going to be
be phenomenal. The fact that they're going to have a game
playing
here
at the Marlins Park.
At the Marlins Park, open stadium, you know what I'm saying, middle of the day. That just shows you how the NHL is seeing the Florida Panthers, because they are a sustainable product that they put out there and they can market, and people are interested on this team, and now they know about the Panthers outside of Florida, right? So yeah, getting that game was huge. I'm gonna try to go to that.
Yeah, and then there's I think the Lightning got one too, right? They're gonna do maybe Raymond James or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know
it should be up by next year. It should be up.
But yeah, really cool. We got to definitely check that out when it happens. But
hell yeah,
go Cats!
Let's go Gatos. Stay in the hunt, baby.
That's it, baby.
That's what they do. Real quick, last week there was a UFC card, fight night in Saudi Arabia. Izzy was fighting that night. Stylebender, dog. Ended up getting rocked.
Day. Right? It wasn't during the day.
It was during the day, but they were fighting over there at night.
Yeah, same shit, same difference.
But for you and Jesse and I, shout out to Jesse. We have these conversations on IG a lot where we talk about the fighters and all this stuff. I want to get your takeaway on what Izzy should do, because we're both big fans of him, right? But losing 3 out of your last 4 fights in the manner that you lose them, that never bodes well in the UFC and MMA.
I'm probably not the best guy to ask that question.
I know, but we're fans.
I don't know where one goes after this, but yeah, man, it sucks to see these guys. You see the meme, right? It's Volkanovski, I think Usman, and then Izzy. Yep. And you see, it's crazy how the game can change, bro. And that's just, I think it just comes down to age and, getting older. But 3 guys that reached the pinnacle of their sport, were champions in their sport. And then in the last 2 years have had a horrible run. Lost fights in ways that we never imagined them losing them before.
Man. Yeah,
the guys that, I mean, obviously everybody in the UFC is a dog. But it's like guys that, you thought like this guy can beat, and then, they either get flatlined or they get submitted, and it's like, at what point do you say, all right, it's time for me to walk away from this, you know what I mean? And I think he might be there, you know what I mean? I think that he might still have, obviously, enough in the tank to be a tune-up fight or a contender fight for somebody else.
Yeah.
But I don't think that he's going to ever elevate to that level again. And then if you're not really there to fight for championships, then what are we really doing?
Yeah, you're kind of in the way there, and that's what
puts
you in the danger to getting rolled over.
You're just putting your safety on the line. At that point, it's like, how many more times do you want to go through this? Or do you want to? Because Stylebender is great on a microphone. Yeah, I think, you know what I mean? So like he can do, either commentary or, a podcast. He's always on podcasts bouncing around. He does very well. You know what I mean? He could do something like that, something more new age around fighting that he doesn't have to fight himself. Maybe train other fighters or something like that if he wants to stay in the world. But
also, we know that that's a young man's game, right?
Absolutely.
And the 2 guys that we're going to be talking about now, Dracus Duplessis and Sean Strickland, they're both younger than Izzy, and they both fought Izzy. Sean fought him when he was much younger, like 3 or 4 years ago, and Izzy was in his prime. You know what I'm saying? He ended up losing to Izzy, but again, Izzy was in his prime. Sean was still learning what it took to be in your prime. And Dracus has already proven that he's a formidable champion, right?
That guy is scary.
He's fucked up some of the major dudes in the UFC, and he's done it in impressive fashions. So again, another dude who's younger than Izzy. It just feels like once you get knocked out, losing a certain type of weight, it does something to your body. It does something to your mental ability. Yeah. And these guys haven't experienced that too much yet. That's why this fight, between Duplessis and Strickland is super interesting for the middleweight title, because now Sean has that experience of being in the ring with some of the legends of UFC, and Duplessis is in his own right a legit champion who's defended his belt against some of the best. So this is like almost a battle of the giants while they're both at their peak primes. You know what I mean? Because I think that Sean is coming in with the right mentality. He's been training with Pereira a lot, which again we know that he's a killer, right? Because he's fucked up everybody that he's pretty much faced.
Yep.
You know, it's giving him that type of confidence, and obviously Duplessis having the belt, knowing what it takes to win the belt, defend the belt. He sees himself as a future star in this division, and he can find himself in a potential mega fight with Alex Pereira, whether it's at 185 or at 205, right? He said he'd also be willing to go up. It's gonna be an exciting, explosive fight, bro.
Yeah, you got, like you said, two guys that are in their prime. One guy I think is oozing confidence in Duplessis.
Yeah, man.
You know, he's been on a tear the last few fights. The way he's finished guys is kind of scary. And then you got a guy with a chip on his shoulder in Sean Strickland, who's coming off a loss, right? I'm pretty sure that the last fight was...
No, he won, but he
lost and then won?
Exactly.
Okay, so, you know, to get to this position against Strikers, but, you know, I think he still has that chip on his shoulder, and I think he learned a lot from that loss. You know what I mean? I think he learned about, you know, a lot about himself and, you know, what he needs to do to not get caught in certain situations. And he needs to be on his fucking P's and Q's in this fight, because Duplessis is, bro, I was not a believer in this guy, you know what I mean? When he was fighting Usman and they were doing the whole, or Izzy or whatever for the Battle of Africa, who's the real African and all that. And that's kind of what introduced me to him. And then just kind of following him in these last few fights, watching him fight. That guy's an absolute problem.
He's a bad man, dog.
And no, I think that he's not getting the love that or the appreciation that he should be getting, possibly. Fair. And I could be just completely tone deaf, but I think he's not getting the love or the admiration that guys like Pereira are getting, or that the Russians are getting. You know what I mean, from Dagestan and all that, because of the fact that he's Spanish, or I'm sorry, he's South African or whatever. He's not from Dagestan or Russia or whatever, and he's not from Brazil. Right. He's from a place where it's like, okay, South Africa, like, you know, you're not really that guy.
It just feels like what you said, right? Maybe he doesn't feel that people should see him as the superstar that he is, and that he's not getting reciprocation in that. But every single performance that he's put out has been superstar-like.
Absolutely.
So for him not to get that probably puts that extra chip on his shoulder to be like, well, if this is the contender and this is what I have to use as a stepping stone to get a mega fight with Alex, then I'll just take care of business and knock this guy out too, you know?
Yeah.
And defend the belt, which could very much well happen on Saturday. So UFC 312, man, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great card. We got two badass women fighting for a belt that night as well. Zaylee
Weili
Zhang versus, what's the other girl's name? Tatiana Suarez, that's her name. You know, what's crazy is that both of these women are coming off of big fight win streaks. They both, Tatiana has a fight week win streak going, Jesus. And the champ has a 4-fight win streak going. And, you know, once she won the belt, the second time she defended the belt, so now she's defending the belt for the second time. Those championship fights are different animals, though, right? And one thing about Weili that we know is that she's a banger, dog. She can knock other women out, for sure. She can play the long game and wait and be patient, but if she finds that opportunity to see you hurt, she's going to be all over you. I don't think we've seen enough out of Tatiana to be like, oh, she's a super legit, you know, challenger, right, or a contender. But the fact that you've won 5 fights in a row in the strawweight division and have beaten top 10 opponents on your way there, yeah, that also be like, you know, makes me think like, man, maybe she does have something and she can really give the champ a problem. So that's also going to be an exciting fight. It's not just going to be the main card. This is the second main card on that evening, and you know, the UFC always does a good job of putting real good main events together. You know, you're going to get those awesome knockouts in the prelims and shit like that because those guys are going all out.
Yeah, those are some of the best fights of the card.
Yeah, bro, because those guys are obviously trying to make a name for themselves and prove themselves. But, you know, it's UFC, and it feels like everybody that they have on the roster right now is a knockout artist, you know? And I think we're in for some real fireworks on Saturday, dog.
I saw a post that said, I think the next 6 weekends are all UFC events that are out of hand. Yeah. As far as the cards.
Yeah. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing.
So who do you got in the main fight, man? Who do you got, Duplessis or Strickland?
Bro,
I already know who I got.
Something about Strickland is telling me that this dude is fucking crazy enough to pull it off.
You think Strickland got it this weekend?
I think he's going to be so mentally checked in that even if he's damaged, even if he's hurt, he's going to continue to hunt, and he's not going to allow himself to get knocked out. You know, he's going to continue to hunt and try to hurt this guy and try to hurt this guy. You know?
Okay.
What about you?
I think for that exact reason, he gets starched. I think Dreykus, I think he's gonna flatline this guy.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, and it could totally happen, right? Both fighters are really good at what they do, right? Strickland being the warrior dog that he is, but that Duplessis power ain't no joke, dog. And he can definitely starch some dudes.
I think he's gonna catch him and he's gonna knock him out cold.
Let's see, bro. Let's see. It'll be interesting. I'll put $10 on Strickland and see how that fight turns out.
Let's see what happens. This was fun.
Yeah, bro. I got one last thing for you.
Oh.
I want to know what you think about this. Recently, it came out that we're boxing advocates and we like to stay in that fight combat world, right?
Okay.
Canelo Alvarez versus Crawford.
Terrence Bud Crawford.
Yeah, finally coming to an agreement. The weight classes being confirmed and all that. But I wanted to get your quick thoughts, on what you think the fight could potentially be for both of those guys.
On paper, it's a good fight. It's a great fight. Two of the best in the game right now.
Yeah.
But my whole sentiment about boxing is that it's rigged, frankly. And I think that Canelo holds a lot of power in the sport.
He does.
So he's not going to take a fight unless it's kind of like Floyd Mayweather, like in his favor.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
what makes it interesting is that Bud has knockout power that Canelo hasn't probably seen in some of his last few opponents.
Yep.
And he's fast. So for Canelo, obviously, he's a little bit older too, right? I think.
Well, they're close in age, right? Because I think Bud's like 36 or 35. Or
so they're both.
Canelo's like 37, so
both up there,
close.
kind of. Yeah, they're close in age, but Canelo's been on a tear for quite some time here, and I just think
for a long time.
I don't think he's gonna take a fight that he doesn't think he's gonna be able to win.
I think the main thing for this fight is like the weight class, right? Bud is gonna be jumping up 2 weight classes. I think it's gonna be at 164 instead of 146 or 154, which is always interesting, right? Because maybe that's closer to his walk around weight, and he can carry a little bit more power and still have the same type of speed. But also an important thing to remember for this fight as it continues to get built up and talked about, there's not going to be a rehydration clause in this. So both of these guys are going to be able to put on back water weight, which should, again, make the fight even more interesting to see who has their power at their natural weight and who can move quicker at their natural weight and get it that way. Canelo's obviously been one of the best boxers of this decade, right, and previous decades, but Bud has been claiming the throne for a little bit and trying to get to the top. And if you want to get to the top where you're the main money maker and being the main A card, you got to beat a guy like Canelo. Going to be a dope fight. I can't wait to see it. And obviously, as they get closer to that, we'll tune you guys in and get Vic on here to share some thoughts with that.
That's the guy whose brain you got to pick.
Yeah, bro. I've been talking to him since the day he was even.
You don't want to hear my opinion on boxing.
Yeah, it's always good to get that shit.
The only guy I want to see fight is Tank.
Yeah, true. I gotta see that.
That's legit. Like, besides, I'm a fan of Canelo. I know people give Canelo his shit that they're not a fan of him. I'm a fan of Canelo. But the only other guy that would get me excited in boxing today, right now, if a fight is announced, is Tank.
Yeah.
That's the only other guy. That guy's a superstar, bona fide superstar, and anything that he does, I'm gonna watch him.
He's a mini Mike Tyson, bro. He destroys everybody that he fights.
Yep.
It's wild. It's wild. But yeah, bro, it was nice to do this.
Yeah, bro, this was fun.
All this Jimmy shit off our chest, dog.
We're done. Nos limpiamos las manos.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not even gonna say best of luck, but you got what you wanted.
You got what you wanted, player.
You got what you wanted, player.
Have fun in the bay, player.
Let's see if it works out for you. But for my dog Joel right here, we want to thank you guys for tuning in to this episode and showing the love. Make sure you guys are dropping those comments in the video. We love to see what your opinions are on
let
Jimmy
us know
Butler.
Who won the trade. Did the Heat win? Did Jimmy win? Did nobody win? Did everybody win? Let us know. Drop a comment down below. How you guys feel?
And you got to tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
To tell another friend.
To tell everybody they know.
To tell everybody that they know and their mama about this amazing podcast, because we're going to keep bringing it to you. Anytime big news is happening, we got draft day coming up. We love to keep you guys informed because you guys love to rock with us. So that's what we're going to keep doing.
That's it.
Until next time, y'all.
Peace.